The only problem here is that China Communist Party is committing massive, systemic and grave human rights violation. There is an Uyghur genocide happening. Over 1 million of Uyghurs are being kept in detention camps, that women are massively sterilized, that people are persecuted because of their language and religion.
تتزايد الانتقادات على الصين بسبب انتهاكاتها ضد الإيغور. ليتوانيا كانت من أواخر الدول التي وصفت سياسة الحزب الشيوعي تجاه الأقلية المسلمة بالإبادة الجماعية. لتواصل الصين سياساتها الترهيبية عبر فرض العقوبات الانتقامية على البرلمانيين الأوروبيين والدبلوماسيين والأكاديميين وحتى مراكز الفكر، مما عمق الأزمة بينها وبين الاتحاد الأوروبي. عضوة البرلمان الليتواني دوفيلي ساكاليان كانت من بين عشرة سياسيين وشخصيات عامة وضعتها الصين في القائمة السوداء. عداء بكين مع دوفيلي وغيرها من السياسيين في الاتحاد الأوروبي سببه دفاعها عن الإيغور واتخاذها موقف من ممارسات الصين وانتهاكاتها لحقوق الإنسان في شينجيانغ.
Even before becoming parliament member, and this is my second term in Lithuanian parliament, I have been working in human rights for many years. I have been CEO of Human Rights Monitoring Institute. I have been an expert in international organizations. And here, I'm not only a member of National Security and Defense Committee, but also working in other commissions and parliamentary groups related to human rights. However, when we're talking about Uyghurs, genocide that is happening currently now in the 21st century is probably the most horrible crime, the most horrible atrocity that is happening currently. So for anyone and everyone, be it a human rights defender or just a person with a conscience, it should be important. So probably the answer is that I could not react to the situation. And as a co-chair of IPAC, Interparliamentary Alliance on China, of course, I am probably more visible, but there is thousands of people who are worried about that genocide. The only problem here is that China Communist Party is committing massive, systemic and grave human rights violations. And allegedly, there is an Uyghur genocide happening. I'm using the word allegedly only because there has not yet been an independent international investigation. However, the systemic data, the recurrent data over the years have already shown that probably over 1 million of Uyghurs are being kept in detention camps, that women are massively sterilized, that people are persecuted because of their language and religion. So the only problem here is that this huge state ruled by Communist Party is committing atrocities and horrible crime. And I am a human rights defender. I have been working as a human rights defender for decades. And lately, I have expressed my really clear position that these atrocities must stop and independent legal investigation must be started to find out the scope of this genocide, the scope of these human rights violations. So I guess that made the Communist Party really angry.
تعتمد الصين في تعاملها مع مخالفيها سياسة الترهيب، فإلى جانب السياسيين عاقبت بكين 4 كيانات ولجان أوروبية كرد فعل على الاتحاد الأوروبي الذي يحاول مساعدة الإيغور.
It's probably obvious that they have overreacted because that strict China's position sanctioning human rights defenders actually made us more allied, more unified in our position that it's not tolerable. It actually helped the European Union and Western countries to stand united, to really find among ourselves a very clear background that economic cannot be traded for crime, that no benefit can be justified by taking human lives, by imprisoning people without cause, by sterilizing women or committing other horrible crimes, such as rapes, beatings, taking children away from families, not because their parents are inadequate, but because their parents are being persecuted because of their religion and language. So I'd say that this reaction by China sanctioning 10 parliamentarians and academia was actually a wake-up call for all the Western world that we need to defend our values stronger. So we, of course, understand that China's Communist Party uses this intimidation, threatening, sanctioning for human rights defense methods because this is usual to them. They have probably forgotten that in a democratic society, authoritarian methods do not work. So, of course, we are going to keep our fight. And actually, a lot of my colleagues say that they would be happy also to be sanctioned for their work in human rights, because this means that their conscience is more important than bending to an authoritarian regime, than complying with horrible crimes. I believe that you have heard that Joseph Borrell has clearly said that China's actions are regrettable and unacceptable, and that we obviously will not even continue discussions on EU-China Comprehensive Agreement on Investment. It's frozen now because of these actions. What we are hoping to achieve is that these horrible atrocities need to stop, and people that are imprisoned without reason, imprisoned for political reasons, should be released. And then we can continue all the negotiations, and also sanctioning parliamentarians who have committed no crime, but who have stood up for human dignity, who have stood up against genocide. Sanctioning parliamentarians for that is unprecedented. This is unjustifiable. This is simply raising really huge legitimate concern. We are hoping that finally United Nations could launch an independent legal investigation into the scope of genocide. And if international community stands united and the Convention Against Genocide would be applied in this case, we are hoping that it might stop bringing people to the detention camps, and it might result in releasing these people, probably around a million or over a million people from detention camps, and also releasing hundreds of thousands of children to their families. So we are hoping that two things: independent legal investigation and united position of international community that might help.
أقوال متضاربة بين إنكار واعتراف بوجود معسكرات لاحتجاز الإيغور في شينجيانغ، معسكرات وصفتها الصين لاحقاً بمراكز إعادة تثقيف، ولكنها تخفي داخل أسوارها فظائع وانتهاكات مستمرة لحقوق الإنسان وحرب مستعرة لطمس هوية شعب بأكمله.